Well, I think you have to, because, there's again another quote that says it's not the strongest or the most intelligent species that survive, it's the most adaptable species that survive. What I realized from just recently traveling again, like I've got a lot more sort of chilled, I've got my my clarity is much clearer. It's because as an entrepreneur and as a businessman, flying around the world gives you the decompression time. That's how I decompress. So when I'm there, I'm watching some movies, I'll take up my pad, I'll start writing. Well, here's the thing. Like, I remember reading a quote in a Steve Jobs autobiography, and it says, you wake up every day, look in the mirror, and you have to ask yourself the question, am I happy? If the answer is no too many times, you got to do something about it, right? There's that saying that says, you can love what you do, or you can be really passionate about what you do. But actually you have passion, what you like to do, and then you've got what you are trained to do. But if you put these two together, that part that overlaps becomes your purpose. If you're doing a tug of war with somebody, you got 1 versus 1, you got equal strength, right? But if you have 2 versus 1, it's the power of 10. So it's not double the power, it's 10 times the power. So this is why compounding is so good.
I'm Farah Shammas. Welcome to Hotel Talk. We hope you enjoy listening to this friendly conversation between people connected by real life in hotels. Today, I'm so happy to have with us John Lee. He is an entrepreneur, a mentor, an investor, a speaker, and he's the author of many books and also one called Business Hack, which you really have got to check out. John, thanks so much. You're tuning in from the UK, I believe.
Yes, Farah, thank you so much for having me, and can't wait to have this conversation.
Yeah, well, you're normally all over the world, so I wasn't sure where we were going to chat from, whether it was going to be Singapore or Australia or America, but you're back in your home country of the UK. How's it going over there?
It's really good. Things are obviously, what the time is like right now in the world and what's happening, but this is a good time because we always say that when, this quote of success is when the preparation meets the opportunity. So there are lots of opportunities right now.
So tell us a little bit about how your business has been going. I mean, we've had the pandemic, which has affected every single person, but of course you do loads of stuff online. So tell us, a little bit about how you've seen and viewed the pandemic.
Well, so there's a few, for me, I do like real estate investing. I do investing into stock, more so recently in like Web3. And of course we have an education company as well. And, sort of before the pandemic, was doing great. But obviously we were running physical events. I mean, because because
you were coming to Cyprus and doing them here.
Yeah. We were actually, I think at that point, we were supposed to be flying to Cyprus to run an event. We were planning one there.
I think so. We were that year. Definitely there was one. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. But obviously with the pandemic happening, you've got to pivot. You got to look at what's working, what's not working, and you strip away the stuff that doesn't work and you double down on the one that does. So for example, if I take my investment company like real estate, right? There's so many people who are moving out of London, which means the demand for people in London is low. And of course, you had all your overseas buyers who would fly in and then buy real estate. So it was like shopping spree for me. I was like, I was buying property in central London at 20% off, like zone 1, and like amazing. And people say you can't buy a property in zone 1 at below market value. Of course you can. If there's it's all supply and demand for, and then for my investment companies, trying to invest in like Web3 companies, and a lot of these companies now have turned into billion-dollar valuations because when the market is down, you get in, and when the market recovers, it starts going up. So for me, I'm always looking at the opportunities. I'm in the event space. And as I mentioned to you before, that we used to run physical live events, which of course would be great. I mean, I love in-person events. I'm a people's person. I love to meet people and then inspire, but you can't fly to a country. You can't deliver it. So then you got to pivot. You got to look at what's working, and everyone was going online. So then I just thought, let's just do this on Zoom. Let's just, innovate and do something that you cannot do, but can still deliver that message. And so we just did everything online. And it was the best accidental issue that ever happened to me, because now the whole business model is switched.
Absolutely. So the main thing basically is to think outside the box, move with the times, and not be static. So I think so many people found that.
Well, I think you have to, because there's again another quote that says it's not the strongest or the most intelligent species that survive, it's the most adaptable species that survive, which means, for example, if you were selling VHS tapes now, you wouldn't be in business, right? Look at Blockbuster's now blockbusted. When you look at Netflix, you got Netflix coming up, right? And so Netflix became the next big thing. But the new thing that's going to disrupt Netflix is going to be what we call a watch to earn model. Do you know now, Farah, people get paid, like there's an app you can download and you can basically get paid to walk. So it's basically work or walk to earn or move to earn. So you can walk and your iPhone now tracks all the different steps that you take, and based on everything you take, you get paid money. And it's the same with.
But why would someone pay you to walk?
Because the apps collect data, don't they? Data is a new currency. The more data you have, the more, like, look at Facebook. Or Meta, sorry. Like, it's a multi-billion-dollar company because it doesn't really sell anything, but it sells data, right? So when you have all these apps coming out, like all these smartphones, all the Apple Watches and things that you have, that's whole purpose is to collect data. So what happens with data? They can use that data, like that Apple Watch that's coming, the new one that's come out. It can monitor your heart rate. It can tell when you're going to get sick. It can tell you when. It's got all this information. It tracks everything, right? It tracks your blood and everything. So that data can be sent to companies, which can then use to retarget you based on what you need. So everything is all about data. Data is a new currency. So that's why all these apps, these Web3 companies I'm investing in, it's all data-based, data-driven. It knows what you want. I mean, look, let me give you a classic example. So say you and I are having dinner in San Rafael, right? We sit there and we put our phones on the table. You and I start talking about holidays to the Maldives. And we pick up our phone, what we're going to see, we're going to start seeing holidays to the Maldives. And you go, oh my God, what a coincidence. It's not. The speaker is taking every single word that you say and it's collecting the data to be able to retarget you. That's how it works.
I know, scary. I know we've noticed that a lot. So tell us, during the pandemic, obviously you are normally a world traveler and you were grounded like everyone else. How did you feel not traveling all the time? Like you're normally on a plane weekly.
Oh, I was during the pandemic, it was really good to start with. But after about 6 months, you're like, hold on a second, I'm still in the same house. Like, you're not really even allowed to go out. You go out for about 30 minutes of exercise and that's about it. But I started getting really like angst, like why am I really snappy? Because here's the thing, right? So if I'm speaking at an event, normally my tour would be, I'll start in the UK, and then I'd go to Amsterdam and then to Dubai, Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, and I'll do that whole route back, right? But in between those times, you've got at least like half a day or a day of flight time, okay? But with an online event, it's just Zoom. Okay, John, at 10 o'clock, you have this keynote. Okay, at 10:30 you have this keynote. 11:25 you have that, and it's literally you're just clicking off and you're going into a different event. I mean, it's great for business, but there was no downtime. I realized from just recently traveling again, like I've got a lot more sort of chilled. I've got my clarity is much clearer. It's because as an entrepreneur and as a businessman, flying around the world gives you the decompression time. That's how I decompress. So when I'm there, I'm watching some movies. I'll take up my pad. I'll start writing. Or like,
absolutely. It's a meditation time. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And like, last time we came to your hotel, it's, you have all the beautiful decking area. And when it was, I think last time was of course Christmas time, you have that beautiful gingerbread house that when you walk.
Oh, you remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Like things like that.
Experiences.
That is the decompression time. But whereas when you're doing stuff online, it's actually like, I'm not kidding. If I speak in live events, the maximum I can do is 2 to 3 events in different countries. So I'll plan it in the morning and I'll do a keynote and then I'll finish going straight into a car, go to the airport, fly to another country, and it'll just be like that. So I could do like 3 max, and that's using the whole day. Online, I can do about 20 a day. And it's
that's intense. That is intense. I mean, that's exhausting.
It is exhausting. So that's why I got a little bit, being in the pandemic and not being able to travel. And I love staying in hotels as well. Like, it's just that feeling of checking in, checking out, and you experience, they've got, I know in your hotel, you also have like nice entertainment there as well. So if you want to come down, get a drink and just watch the TV and watch the sunset, and you've got that beautiful deck that overlooks the ocean. I mean, that is decompression time.
Absolutely. So who normally books your hotels? Do you book them yourself or do you have a PA that does it? And what's the criteria? What do you normally look for when you're traveling, mainly for work, but also for pleasure?
So my manager, Yen, Yen Clear is my manager. And my number one criteria is got to have a gym, right? Because I like to work out. Or if they can book me, like, for example, I'm going to be in Sydney, they'll book me like near Sydney Harbour area because they got the whole running track around there. So I want to run.
Nice, yeah.
So like on your hotel, you've got the beach and you've got the running track at the back. So that's why I'm staying there. You've got that whole running. You can run all along the beach. You see all the big houses as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's got to have the gym. which is for me, it's important. If it's got a pool as well, even better. So the
better.
So in Malaysia, the one we stay at is bang in the center, and it's got to be like local amenities to stuff. Like I've got to be able to just get stuff quick at a drop of a hat. So for me, I also want. So for example, in Singapore, we stayed at the Marina Bay Sands. And it's a beautiful hotel. It's, it's got beautiful views and high floor, and it's got the deck at the top where you've got you can oversee the whole of Singapore. And, that it's got everything. It's got different restaurants there as well. So it's got a different, because sometimes like when you're having meetings, like the rooms that I book's got to be a suite because I have a lot of meetings there. So because if I have to travel to everywhere to have a meeting, it takes up time, like an hour here, half an hour here of travel time, when I can pack in probably 10 meetings a day, like 1 hour each. So if I have the suite and it's a adjoining room, right? So typically, like what we also, because obviously I got family as well, right? So if I'm doing meetings, you can't do it in the room when your wife or your child's trying to sleep. So the hotel has to have some room where you've got like a lounge in the middle, and you've got one room here, which for meetings, and you've got your bedroom area. That means if people are sleeping, you've got the lounge, like this middle area here, and on this side you have the meeting, so you can't, like, don't get woken up, and so it's not intrusive.
Yeah.
So we look for, now it's kind of like before when I was single, it was just, okay, just give me a good room, right, with a good view. Now it's like, okay, it's got to have enough space. Because don't forget, like when I fly to place, I'm not just staying there for a week. I'm staying there for like 8 weeks. Like I've now become like ambassador for JW now. So I've stayed there so many nights. You're gonna stay like 120 nights, So it's insane. That's the level of travel that we're sort of doing right now.
And are you quite loyal to a brand, would you say? Or do you tend to mix and match and go to different hotel chains or individual hotels?
If it's a brand new hotel and it's got new things, then I'll definitely try it out. But obviously you get advantage of like being ambassador. You get like late checkouts. They give you always upgrades, and they know what you want. Like when I go back to the hotel, I go, "Oh, welcome back, Mr. Lee," and like we'll go to the room, and they'll be like, for example, because my daughter, she's still young back then, so she have like
a she's 4.
Yeah, and so like this little playpen, and so like they know when we arrive, they've got all the different toys, like in the Ritz in Langkawi, for example. And when we showed up, we always get the beach villa because my daughter loves to swim. So they always know the one that we want. And it's just great. And even at like MBS, like when we went up there, my daughter loves like cuddly toys and things like that. So, I mean, the service was incredible. They wrote a little handwritten note, and literally how the service works as well. As soon as we got off the plane, the person was stood there with a sign. We literally got that sign, and then my wife was like, okay, that's us. So she saw the sign, and then from there into the car to the lobby, straight into the room. The check-in was in the room, and then the checkout was the whole process. Like the whole process was like so seamless, because you got a kid, you're traveling with a kid. It's can get a little bit tricky. So that I also look for seamlessness as well. Like when I get to a hotel, I don't want to be at the counter. I don't want to queue up. I want to get straight into the room because I might have another meeting happen, So that's how tight we sort of plan the schedule.
Solving problems, basically, being the solution to issues that might arise so that they don't arise. That's the main thing, personal service.
Exactly.
And obviously, okay, you've got quite a marketing background. How do you, and where do you see hotels go so wrong? I mean, I'm sure you see it. I see it every day and I cringe. I'm sure that when you're, surfing the web or like on your travels, and you'll see things and go, oh, why would they do that? Where and how do you see hotels go wrong very often?
It's funny because when I fly around the world, I always, do, like selfies, Instagram stories and things like that. And it's funny because like the month after, I'll see my friend at the same place tagging and say, hey, bro, I was just there last week. Yeah. I saw your post and that's why we booked here. So one of the things that I think hotels need to do is they need to do less of the traditional marketing, and they need to do what we call guerrilla marketing. So guerrilla marketing are things like influencer marketing. Like if you've got, for example, I have 6 million people that follow me across all social media platforms. So if I go to a hotel, I'm going to have a minimum of 50 to 100,000 people that see that I stay there, or that tagged location. So when people are thinking, oh, where should I stay in Singapore? Oh yeah, John stayed at that really cool place that's got a deck at the top, an infinity pool at the top, and 50 floors high. Maybe I should stay there, right? And then they'll message me for a contact. Oh, who's that person? Who's the manager there? And then I'll put them in touch with Diana, for example, right? And then Diana will say, oh yeah, and I say, please take good care of my friends. So they need to do a lot of social marketing to get the exposure out there, but also to do educational, because now, people have a website, and in the old days you used to have the website do all the marketing and all the sales for you. So they used to do all the heavy lifting. So now we are now living in Web 2. We're now transitioning to Web 3. So what that means is it's not about that one person, it's about the community now. So that means if you're able to work with people to be able to market your hotel and also have events there as well, it's also good to host big events, because events are massively marketed. Like there was one hotel in central London in Kensington, and we ran events there for like 10 years, right? We basically made that hotel famous. Literally, like everyone in our industry runs their events there now. And it's funny because when we were there, they're like, all our competitors were in the sale. I said, hey, do you know our competitors upstairs? And they're in the other room. And because we marked that central location, and we put millions and millions of dollars into marketing our event, which indirectly marketed that hotel, because we had to tell people where the event was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then people see it. They see you filming it. They see what's going on. They get an idea of the space, of the vibe. And yeah, business brings business.
You got it.
So you obviously love what you do. Tell us, how important do you think it is to love what you do?
Well, here's the thing. I remember reading a quote in a Steve Jobs autobiography, and it says, if you wake up every day, look in the mirror, and you have to ask yourself the question, am I happy? If the answer is no too many times, you got to do something about it, right? There's that saying that says, you can love what you do, or you can be really passionate about what you do. But actually, you have passion, what you like to do, and then you've got what you are trained to do. But if you put these two together, that part that overlaps becomes your purpose. So my purpose now, of course, I've invested in a lot of companies that have now turned to billion-dollar companies. I've got a lot of exposure online. I run a lot of events with hundreds of people there. I've written books that have sold hundreds of thousands of copies. But for me, I'm always looking at how can I take my message and then impact people with that message? Because a lot of things that we teach people, it's not taught in school. Like, they teach, geography, French, English, maths, science. I think that stuff's important. But what about, how to manage your finances? What about how to pay off your debts fast? Or how do you, instead of creating active income, recreate passive forms of income? So there's these things that are just not taught in school. And that's not the school's fault. Schools are designed to create employees. It's designed to create great workers. It's not designed to create great entrepreneurs. Even people have MBAs. I have people who've been to Harvard that come to my events. I said, but you've got an MBA in business. Yeah, but MBAs makes you a good manager. Does it make you a good entrepreneur as always? And some overlap, of course, but you got to be passionate about what you do, because, I sleep on average between 5 or 6 hours a day, and that's not good. You got to sleep longer than that. But I'll tell you why, I go to sleep and I think to myself, I've got so many ideas. And I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, I want to get on it. Like everyone looks forward to a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I look forward to a Monday, because I know that's when my team's going to be up and then they're going to be thriving, and we can get stuff done. We can move the needle. So you've got to be passionate about what you do, because even if I didn't get paid to do what I do, I would still do it. That's when you truly know when you've truly found your passion.
I couldn't agree more. That's how I was brought up, actually. To find what you love. That's what my dad used to tell me. Find what you love doing, and then find someone to pay you to do it. And then afterwards I said, the joke's on you, Dad.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Because if you think about how hard life is, like especially as an entrepreneur, there are so many setbacks that you're going to get, right? There are so many trials and tribulations and challenges and things that just go wrong. And if you're not passionate about it, you're just going to give up. You know what, that happened. I have so many friends who do something and they do it for the money, right? In fact, there's this quote. I actually just put this on my Instagram. I always like to do these quotes, right? And I'll read this quote to you, right? You must always follow your passion, because a person who works for passion will always be richer than the person working for money, right? So Instagram is filled with all these quotes that just I just write them because I want to inspire. But if you think about it, there are so many setbacks that we have in our life that if we are not passionate, we will not have the juice, we will not have the motivation or the desire to keep moving forward. Because as soon as you get that bang, that one setback, you know what? I'm going to give up, because you don't have the passion for it. So passion is driven by your purpose, and the purpose drives the follow through, which ultimately, because how you feel determines what you will do. What you do determines the results you get. What results you get will ultimately determine your life.
So what would your advice be to youngsters now? If someone's listening to this and they're 18, 19 years old, about to start on life, thinking where they should study or what they should do, what would your advice be to them?
Okay, the first thing is, if you're at point A and point B and you want to get to point B, the first thing that's stopping you is your knowledge gap, right? It means like you don't know what you don't know. And that's the problem, isn't it, Farah? Mm-hmm. People don't know what they don't know. And because they don't know what they don't know, they think it's normal. So the first thing you got to do is you got to get your knowledge gap, which means you need to get educated. People go and spend £10,000 on a bag or a watch or a car. But when's the last time you put that into your brain? Because ultimately you can't take the money with you when you leave the planet, right? When you leave this earth. But one thing that will stay behind is your knowledge and the legacy that you've left. So first thing for the youngsters watching, you got to fill the knowledge gap. So read books, attend seminars, literally get a mentor, learn from people, right? That's the second part. So the second part is you want to find a mentor. So when I first started in real estate, I was kind of like doing things haphazardly. So I met a guy called Ranjan Bhattacharya and I paid him £3,500 to join a community. Because here's the thing, if you hang around people who are rich, you're going to be rich. If you hang around people who are broke, you're going to be broke. And the test for this, Farah, is write down all the people you hang around and write down how much money they earn. A lot of my friends, millionaires, and some of them billionaires. So that's why I'm able to extract a lot of they have different conversations. Like when I'm speaking to them, they're always talking about, oh yeah, we just acquired this company. Oh yeah, we've got our next IPO coming up. Like it's a very different conversation. Whereas I hang around my friends, at school, it's like, oh yeah, we watched this new show on Game of Thrones on Netflix. It's a very different conversation. Nothing wrong with that. But that's why you got to hang around the right people. And so my second mentor was Yingtan. And I asked him, can you coach and mentor me? And it was like £10,000. So I didn't have the money. So I sold the car and I paid him £10,000. But he taught me something. 3 rules in real estate. 1, make money when you buy, not when you sell. 2, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if you look at how long people have rented a property for, let's say someone's rented property for 10 years, right? Over 10 years, that property would have increased in value, especially, the UK. And it kind of goes up and down, but overall it's up. And that's when people go, oh yeah, but I'm going to wait for the property to crash. Well, that's like trying to catch a falling knife. And when he started explaining these theories to me, I'm like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. And then my third mentor, Vincent Wong, told me about when you're buying property, don't buy property, don't own anything. You should control everything. And I didn't understand that at the start, Farah. And I said to him, well, what do you mean by that? I said, I've got millions of dollars worth of property. He said, well, but John, if you stop paying the mortgages, who owns the property? And I said, oh yeah, you're right. So that's why you should not own anything. You should control everything. So I'll give an example of this. Why do people buy a property? So they can rent the property out. But then to do that, you need a mortgage or a deposit. So I thought, why don't I just find somebody who's already got a mortgage, who's already got a deposit, and I just babysit the mortgage payment. So let's say the mortgage payments are 500, I can rent it for 1,000 and make 500 profit without having to put mortgage or deposit down. And it's like, these are the things where a lot of people don't know. That's why when you hang around with people, you learn different things. Like I'm sure if I hang around with you on a regular basis, I'd be buying hotels now. Right? You know that area well. Like you understand how to run a hotel, how to manage it, how to grow it, how to scale it, how to survive it. But it's all, recently I've been hanging around a lot of people like VCs and the Web3 space, the NFTs, the crypto space. And I see them making millions and millions of dollars. And I go, maybe that's what I want to get. That's why I started investing in Web3, because when everyone's digging for gold, you should be selling the spades, you see? So that's why I started investing in all these like platforms and things like that. So yeah, so that's the second thing I think youngsters should do. And the third thing is got to take daily action, consistency. Like it's like a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single baby step. And people, it's kind of like going to the gym. People say, I want to lose weight. And you know what they do? Like maybe once a month, they'll go to the gym for 2 hours. Well, you know what? Going to the gym for 20 minutes every single day will trump that. That's what we call the power of compound. Compound effect is every single 1% that you're running equals 1,000% when it's all compounded together. If you're doing a tug of war with somebody, you got 1 versus 1, you got equal strength, right? But if you have 2 versus 1, it's the power of 10. So it's not double the power, it's 10 times the power. So this is why compounding is so good. Like I give an example. So people ask me, how did you gain such a big following, right? Social media, and everything bleeds into everything else, Farah, because it's a ripple effect. So when I started using Clubhouse, for example, right, that's one of the platforms that I, invested in, and I've been using it every single day. And because I've been using it every single day for the last, couple of years now, it seems, I've been getting more and more contacts. So I've got, almost getting close to 1 million people following me on there. And every time I run a room, I'll have anything from, 2,000 to 3,000 people that listen to me every day. But do you know from those 2,000 to 3,000 people, there's going to be one person that does business with me. There'll be one person that does a collaboration with me. There'll be one person who has an investment opportunity. There'll be one person that says, oh, let me introduce this person. We talked about this, right? So it's basically that platform. The reason why I invested in it is because it is like networking on steroids without having to fly all around the world. So the consistency of doing that, it builds up. I'll give an example, like building a membership site. Do you know if like for people listening to like the youngsters, you can start a membership site if you're playing games, like you can use Twitch TV, right? You got creator economy now where social media platforms will pay you to use the platforms. You can go live on Instagram and people can buy you a coffee for $5, a virtual coffee. They send money to your account. So if you're thinking about, let's do a small target. Let's say people want to make 10,000 a month, right? I'm going to give you a strategy. Everyone can do this. It's like the easiest strategy to do, right? So you only need 1,000 people to pay you $10 a month. $10 is not a lot of money, right? It's like what? 20, 30 cents a day or something like that, right? So do you know you only need 3 people a day to basically sign up for your subscription platform? And in 1 year, you'll be making 10,000 a month. For most people, that would replace the salary. And all you have to do is talk about what you're passionate about, talk about what you love to do. And then you just basically say, if you're interested in more, go to this site and just pay $10 a month. That's it. Netflix has 200 million people paying they're making $2 billion a month. That's how they do it. Low ticket subscriptions is what all the youngsters, in my opinion, should be doing. Instead of wasting time on social media as a consumer, they should be turning into a creator, because consumers spend money, creators make money. So that would be my advice, Farah.
Oh, well, that very, very wise words, and a lot for people to think about. I have one final question for you before a hat question. So to speak, I'll tell you about that in a second. You've been to Cyprus many times. Obviously, I'm based in Cyprus. What is your impression of Cyprus?
It's a very chilled place to go. Very chilled place. I mean, you just go there. It's very nice. The weather is incredible. It's not too hot. So, the UK is always raining and it's cold. But
unless you're here in August.
But the Cyprus weather, every time I'm there, it's always around between 20 and 25 degrees.
Yeah, because you've been here in over winter months, which has been amazing. Yeah.
The food's amazing there as well. There's I think it was in Limassol, they got that really nice pier.
Yeah.
All the restaurants there. It's a very nice, a very cool environment. The beaches are incredible. And now you've got all these amazing water parks for kids and things like that as well. But yeah, I just think, and it's like from the UK, it's like what, 4 hour, 3.5 hours, 4 hours.
4 hours, yeah, 4.5. Yeah.
And it's direct as well. And what I like about it, the airport is easy to get in and out of. It's not like Heathrow Airport where it's like, Terminal 4, Terminal 5 was so hectic. It takes to walk to the gate, it takes like half an hour.
So true. Right, John, final question. So our team write some questions down. They all go in a hat. Obviously, you're not physically with me to pull one out of the hat. So I will randomly, you just tell me stop. I'm going to wave these now in front.
Okay. Stop.
Okay. Right. So, well, there we go. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
It's the funny thing. I'm both. I wake up really early and go to bed really late, which is, again, not good. Okay.
But what do you prefer? Is it mornings that you're like, yeah, you've got more energy, or do you suddenly get like a massive surge of energy at nighttime?
Okay, let me tell you, the morning, here's why, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our bodies need time to rest and regenerate. And there's actually an optimal time to go to bed. So actually 10:30 is the optimal time to go to bed, because it's with the rhythms and when the nighttime happens and all that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you, most people have this morning ritual. Like, people get up in the morning, they go and have a shower, they make themselves a coffee, they go for a run, go to the gym, they come back, they have a shower, then they get ready. I think that's the worst thing you can do. Why? Well, as an entrepreneur, because when you wake up in the morning, that's when your mind is the most rested. And when you wake up in the morning is when you have the least distractions, right? So actually that half an hour or hour that you wake up in the morning should not be used to go to the gym and do all this kind of stuff, right? And people say, well, John, what if you got kids? Well, if you know your kids wake, so like my daughter always wakes up at a certain time. So I know she wakes up around that time. I'm going to wake up an hour before that, because that time in the morning, your mind is most rested. You have clarity. It's quiet, no distractions, and you do not pick up your phone. So the night before, and I learned this from my billionaire friend. She does 1.5 billion a year, right? She owns a massive e-commerce store. And the night before, she'll write down what she needs to do in the morning. So the moment she gets up, she gets that thing done. This is how you create momentum. So for example, if I know that, okay, this morning I need to work on a keynote, like trying to get it done with all these distractions and things happening is really hard. But if I wake up in the morning, I can bang it out in an hour, right? So this is why morning is really, really good, but which is equally why night is also good, because everyone's asleep, house is quiet, and you can get it done. So that's why, I'm a morning and I'm a night. I mean, you probably hear me on Clubhouse, right? I'm sometimes on there till like 12, 1 o'clock at night, but I mean, that's not, again, it's not a good thing, but I'm just, like you say, I'm passionate about what I do. And, when you're passionate about what you do, you should do it. But just a disclaimer, please get good rest. You need good rest. I mean, weekends, I of course sleep in as well. Bank holidays, I sleep in as well, but you do have to get that time to recover. So it's not just hustle, 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 hustle. You have to do the yin yang, right? Yin is a hustle, 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 and the yang is namaste.
Well, John, definitely your energy is contagious. I can say that for sure. I've known you for many years and I've seen you speak, and you can motivate anyone and really make people feel that they can do it. And that's a gift that not everyone has. So thank you so much for being here today and sharing some of your pearls of wisdom with everyone. And everyone who's listening to this, please do follow John on his many, many, many social network platforms. He's around, so follow him for more.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me, and see you later, everybody. Bye.
Bye.